Well,
Great.
I mean, we kind of have a commonality because we started on Nickelodeon. Yeah. Dan Schneider.
Are we talking?
Yeah, we're good.
We're rolling. All right, great.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah. So I know. I'll tell the story I told you off the air, which is
Please.
So I wrote for All That on Nickelodeon, right, when I was 20, and
how'd you get that gig?
I got it because I was working for a casting director who was casting an MTV pilot called Singled Out.
Of course.
And so I ended up writing for Singled Out on the pilot, and then they were starting All That like in the same office like space. And so I started talking to Dan Schneider, one of the EPs, and I pitched to be a writer for All That, and I ended up they didn't take any of my, I didn't get the job, but they took one of my ideas.
Okay.
I didn't know that.
Great. And does that happen?
It's not supposed to.
Sure.
But then I pitched a thing. I basically pitched Pierre Escargot.
Oh my God.
But it was called Paco Delicious. It was a Spanish version. And so they just switched it and stole it. And I didn't know that.
And it was serialized. I mean, they did it.
It was a popular
50
thing.
times.
And then I saw it and I was like, huh. And then I think they kind of felt like we kind of have to hire him for the second season.
Right.
Seeing as we like stole this thing. So Dan Schneider was the EP. Dan Schneider was the head writer and executive producer of All That. He had been an actor before. He was on a sitcom called Head of the Class. So I wrote for All That for a year. Wasn't very good at it. They used to call my writing experimental because it was just like
that's so fucking backhanded.
No. It's like they knew I was talented, but just like this is not right for you. Really, like this is not the right show for you, and which is correct. I just didn't understand. Like I had a sketch, like the best illustration of how wrong I was for the show. I had a sketch idea called. It was the hair club for boys. So it was like boys could order chest hair.
That's genius.
Which is really funny.
Yes.
But like not right for Nickelodeon. Do you know what I mean? Like a chest and arm hair. I don't know. It just would have looked weird.
Yeah.
And there's really something sexual about it. There's like a lot of stuff wrong with it. So, but it's a funny idea. Anyhow, long story short, 10 years later, I don't know when Josh and Drake was on, but I saw Josh and Drake, I happened to be switching the channels, and I was like, that guy looks so much like Dan Schneider as a young man. It's like insane. And it was you when you were heavier. And I remember watching it with Chappelle one time. I was like, you have to see this because it's so crazy. And he watched it, and we were talking. I go, this guy looks so much like Dan Schneider. It's insane. Dan Schneider, who created the show. And Chappelle goes, how did he do that? It was like he made you in a lab. It was so crazy.
Yes.
Did you know that when you auditioned? When you saw him, were you like, oh, this could go well? Or did you know what he'd look like when he was younger?
You know, when I started working in the 90s, it was like the era, like the 80s and 90s of like the token fat kid. Mm-hmm. You need a fat kid for either the best friend.
You still do.
Kinda. Yeah.
It's a valuable note in comedy.
Yes.
And
it seemed like on All That, like Keenan was heavier set, or they had like Danny Tamborelli. Mm-hmm. And so when I auditioned for the Amanda show, which was how I met Dan, I just figured I got a look they might like.
Right.
And then, funny enough, in watching and meeting Dan and seeing his sort of rhythms and that mine were similar, I'm like, oh, there's a total sort of mirroring here.
Were you on the Amanda show?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I booked the Amanda show, and I sort of got forced upon Dan because he didn't want me on the show.
Right.
But the president of Nickelodeon, who had gotten hip to me,
Kevin Kay or
Albie.
Albie, yeah.
And Albie, God bless him, has been like my champion for no other reason than like I think he just got a fucking kick out of me.
Yeah.
And he said to Dan, we're going to pick up the Amanda show for season 2, 13 episodes. And Dan said, well, I'd really love 20, and the show's a success. And he's like, all right, I'll give you the back 7, but you got to put Josh Peck on the show.
And you hadn't been on the first season?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
And he said,
he just remembered you from the audition?
I had auditioned for All That a few times. I did a Nickelodeon movie with Chevy Chase called Snow Day.
Got it.
And Dan was like, I don't need him. Like, show's working. And Albie said, well, you need him if you want the back 7.
Show?
Yeah.
Okay.
and they brought me on, probably similar to you, like wouldn't give me a shot. Like just, I was like this new guy, the rookie. And then slowly but surely, I started gaining momentum, being more myself. And Drake and Josh were sort of born out of that.
I will say this about Dan Schneider. The greatest crank caller I've ever heard. Do you ever see him make a crank call?
Quite good.
It was phenomenal. It was like watching Michael Jordan play basketball. It was fucking amazing to me. Again, and I don't say that lightly. Like, it was like crank calls. If you don't know what a crank call is, guys, back in the 80s and 90s, there were landlines.
Sure.
And it would be exciting when someone would call, and then they would just keep you on the line and fuck with you and whatever. He was amazing. They kept me on, so I'm like grateful for that. Brian Robbins, who was the other exec producer and kind of Dan's boss somewhat.
Yeah.
Said something really funny one time, which is we were in a writing meeting and Brian goes, "I should have fired you when I had the chance," which is a really funny thing to say.
That's amazing.
Which is a really funny thing to say to somebody that you wanted to fire. Like, that was kind of my relationship with them. Like, we all knew it wasn't working, but we all were like, there's something to me. So, like, let's stick with it.
Yeah, like maybe 1 in 10 will be something.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of these pitches.
Yeah, some will work.